if you want to get into real estate, learn from someone that's smarter than you. Just like in hockey, you always want to be surrounded around the people that are better than you, because that's what makes you better. And so just like in real estate, to become better, you have to hang around the best. And so I'm fortunate that my father-in-law was a developer for 40 years. One of the smartest guys I know in real estate. My dad and my uncle, extremely smart. Hang around those type of people. Be a fucking be a fly on the wall. Just listen to everything. Take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth.
We are live. Tom Mealy. We got Big Max from Chirac, Chicago. What's going on, fellas? Max, thanks for jumping on. Tom Mealy, why the hell do we do this? Why do we do this podcast?
Why do we do this? Well, first of all, it's been a few weeks, so we took a little bit of a hiatus. You were traveling, I was traveling, bouncing all over the place, but we are back. We got Max, we got his brothers, I think we're booked out the next 4 or 5 weeks, so consistency is back in play. The reason we do this, obviously, from a marketing standpoint, it's good to get our business out there and what we do, but also it's our way of giving back to the game. It is a game that molded all of us in some way, shape, or form, no matter what level you played at. I didn't realize how many hockey players are now in real estate after we've started this show, and believe it or not, it's gotten some legs. We got a hire out of it. Dante started last week in our disposition department, which is awesome. So it's exciting. That is the reason why we are doing this. It goes to show that, if a platform like this existed when you and I were playing, the transition from the game into business wouldn't have been as hard as it is. And Dante, kudos to him. It's a very exciting time for us, him stepping in, coming out of Utica and joining our team. So the reason why we do this, we're in multiple markets all over the country. And if we could, connect with different guys in different areas and do business together, that's why we have this going on. So
cool.
I'm excited.
And also, Max, if we could help drive business to you as well, it's pretty cool. There's going to be a lot of players that will be reaching out to you that listen to this podcast. So it's also brought to you by Pucks, brought to you obviously by our podcast, Pucks to Properties. Also Riva Global, which is a virtual assistant staffing company that I own as well. I started this company back in 2014. So if anyone's looking for virtual assistant services, let us know. And also our real estate investment company called Pertrack. Max, what's up, brother?
What's going on, guys?
Chirac, you played with Adam Devine,
who is
our business partner here in Pertrack. How the hell did you guys meet, dude?
So we went to a school up in about 30 minutes west of Lewiston, Maine, called Hebron Academy. And he was a post-grad. I think I was a sophomore when I had met him. Post-grads, Adam was probably one of the nicer ones to the young guys, but most post-grads don't, they're just there to play hockey. They don't give a shit about anyone else in a sense for the most part. But Adam was, we caught on right away. I mean, Adam was a good guy. We always, hung out in the dorms and whatnot. And I still remember his shot. That thing smelled like burning rubber. I was a goalie, so I would have to smell his shot every time. He was a good hockey player. He was definitely fun to play with. We had our coach, Matt Plant, who's now the assistant coach of Brown. We had a good little team back in the day. We had this guy, Vlad, who I'm sure Adam can talk a bunch about, was Ukraine. He was a Ukrainian national, played in the national team. Big fucker, played at, I think, Suffolk Academy or Suffolk College. I can't remember where he played. But, we had a good little team. So.
Cool. And then you went to Berwick Academy, and then you went to Plymouth State. Is that correct?
I did. Yeah. So my story is a little different route than what most people would probably take to get to college. Juniors obviously is a huge thing in hockey. I have a brother who just finished his last year in the OHL. I played for the Kitchener Rangers. He'll be at the Montreal Canadiens rookie camp in about 3 weeks. And right now he took the OHL scholarship to go to college. So he's at St. FX up in, a little bit north of Halifax. Yep. So he's there right now, but, obviously his goal is a little different. he would love to play in the AHL and the NHL. I think, that's his goal. I'm one of 5. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. My dad, I always joke that he had 5 kids because one of them was probably going to be good at hockey. I was okay. I had another brother that was pretty good. And then my last brother, Simon, he's 21. He's the best one, didn't get drafted or anything, but sometimes it's actually better not to get drafted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's walk through a little bit of the process. Obviously, you're in the leasing side and the commercial side. So walk us through, what happened after college, how you got into real estate, your upbringing, if your family was in it,
sure,
so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I grew up in a suburb of Chicago called Highland Park. It was put on the map, unfortunately, during the July 4th shootings years ago. I grew up playing like Highland Park Falcons, AA hockey. And then when I was around like 12, 13 years old, I played for CYA, which was the Chicago Young Americans. They're something else now, but that's what they were back in the day at Heartland Ice Arena. Was there for 3 years and then played at Team Illinois for a year. Under Coach Pedri. His kid Vince played at Penn State, who's now an agent. But so I was there, and then I was good. Okay, I'm gonna reiterate. I am a 5'9" Jewish hockey player. I didn't have much chance to make it far.
What are you talking about? That's got NHL written all over.
Right, I know. I'm not Marty Turco, but yeah, so I made it as far as I could. But, this guy, Dave Masiak, this coach, honestly still talk to him, but he was the coach of CYA. And after my TI year, I was trying to play another year of midget. At that time it would have been midget minors. And I just didn't get, honestly, I didn't get picked. I was kind of in a lull. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And so I was at Hockey Night in Boston, the tournament. My coach at the time, Matt Plant from Hebron, asked me to come play. He was like, I'll promise you'll play varsity, blah, blah. When he walked in, nothing against him. Prep school is a very interesting place. I walked in, I played JV my first year, practiced with varsity, is what it is.
I'm not laughing at you, but the sales pitch is just.
Yeah, right. I mean, they brought 15 goalies in, all promised everyone the world, is what it is. It's fine.
I was pretty good.
Yeah, right. So I played at Hebron for a couple of years. My junior year, we had 3 guys. It was me and 2 Canadians, and we were both very good hockey players. Is that Adam?
Yeah.
What's up, bud?
What's going on, dude?
I'm just about to get into the story of Guillaume. Remember Guillaume?
Yeah, and he used to chop me on the back all the time.
He was a piece of shit.
Knew three words in English.
Yeah, literally. Tabernacle was the only one that I knew from French. I mean, that's the only word I saw.
Motew was another one.
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, you too, Adam. So 3 years at Hebron, but our last year we basically all sat down in a room in a sense. And we're like, we can't all be here our senior year. 2 of us have to leave. And so I left for Berwick. We had one guy stay at Hebron, and another one went to I can't remember the school. Hampton, I believe is what it was. Northampton. Another prep school. And then I had a goalie coach, Rob Day, up at Berwick, and he got me a look from Plymouth State. Fortunately, I went to go practice at the Portland Pirates when they were, in junior hockey and whatnot. And I was trying to get picked up juniors, and I just went straight from prep school straight into college. I didn't go the junior route. I don't regret it. And I'll tell you why. So my freshman year, Plymouth State, great year. Big part of my story is recovery. So I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm 7.5 years sober now. So, when I went into college, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do anything. I'm playing with kids, obviously, that are 21-year-old freshmen all the way up to 25-year-old seniors. So, I walked into a different situation than was normally used to. My first night there, I ended up, drinking a lot, and they put on my goalie gear and were shooting beer bottles at me. And I woke up in my goalie gear with glass all around me. I'm like, what the fuck happened? So that was my first night ever in college.
I don't mean to laugh at you, dude, but that's the first time I've ever heard a story like that.
Unbelievable. We had some great characters on our team. Honestly, our team, while we were D3, we had a lot of D1 transfers from Sacred Heart, Amherst. We were definitely a solid D3 team, but I know people ask me what the difference is between D1 and D3 hockey, and obviously there's a lot of skill part of it, but a big part of it is a lot of these kids just want to party and play hockey. They don't really want to take it as seriously as a D1 athlete, and a lot of our kids a lot of our teammates, my teammates definitely could have played D1 or even gone further if they wanted to, but they chose not to. And, hockey only takes us so far. It's the connections that I'll get from hockey. It's been unbelievable. And I'll get into more of it. Like most of the people in our office are hockey players or coaches or have something to do with hockey. And so we're a big hockey, we like to hire hockey players. I think that the work ethic behind it is, behind what we're used to is just kind of what we like. But yeah, so I didn't play much in college. My sophomore year, after my freshman year, I tore my hips and had surgery and kind of delayed coming back my sophomore year because I had labrum surgeries on my left and right hips. And then when I came back, I tried getting back on the ice and trying to get back into the things and ended up tearing my hip again. So I had to get another surgery that spring. So now I'm at the 3 hip surgeries, and I had 2 torn labrums in my shoulders. So I was like, fuck it. I'm at it. I'm going at it already. I might as well get, my shoulder done. So I had my one shoulder done. This is all my sophomore year. And so I went down a pretty dark hole, as you could probably imagine. Hockey has been something that I lived my whole life. Like everything was hockey. I missed birthday parties growing up because of hockey. Like all I knew was hockey. And in my mind, I was like, I knew I'm playing D3, but I was like, oh, maybe I'll play in the Coaster. I'll play in the SP or something. But it kind of got washed away when I started getting these surgeries and realized that like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I had no idea. And so going into my junior year, really wasn't in a good place. I stayed part of the team. I practiced with them. I dressed a little bit for the games. I wasn't me. I wasn't like the typical Max who loved hockey and was enthusiastic and like getting up in the morning, working out and hanging out with the team. It's dark path. I started going down a path I could have never imagined. And so, fast forward a little bit, but senior year comes around and I'm just in the depth of addiction at this point. My teammates don't even want to be around me and whatnot. And my family was just like, we don't want you home. So I didn't really know what to do. Yep. So I ended up calling my mom one day in January 2017, and was like, I need help. And she's like, yeah, no shit. And so she basically got my dad on a flight, picked me up from Plymouth State out in New Hampshire and drove me back, 16 hours back home. And I was on a flight to LA and rehab the next day. So my sober date's February 3rd, 2017. And I haven't, veered off that path since, but, coming into the rooms of AA, the amount of athletes, take away hockey for a second, the amount of athletes that I've met in the program has been it's unbelievable. We're all taught one thing our whole life. And when that thing goes away, we don't know what to do. I was watching a documentary, I believe it was on Netflix, about the enforcers in the NHL. And, people didn't talk about it as much back then, but, even Devin Setaguchi. So Devin Setaguchi was someone actually I reached out to in early sobriety because he's been sober for a while, and kind of connected with him about it because I just was kind of lost at the beginning of the whole thing. And he kind of he's like, you're on the right path. Professional athletes have problems. You're allowed to have problems. Let's just, figure it out and keep moving forward. And so I didn't talk to him much, but I definitely reached out to him. We talked a little bit, and it was kind of nice having someone like that, someone who has a name in the NHL, have the same problem I have. I mean, I'm not so unique, right? None of us are unique. And so about 6 months in to recovery, I reached out to a company, SVN, Sperry Van Ness, which is a national brokerage that we have done business with. Our company has done business with. My dad has known forever, and I ended up getting a job in Denver. So about 6 months after that, I ended up going out there and working in commercial real estate, doing single net leases and whatnot, and didn't really love it. And my dad and my uncle, which they'll be on the podcast next week or whatnot, but they own Motew properties. We are a we third party manage. We own our own stuff. We flip, we rehab. we're a full service property management company. And so they've been in the business forever. So I've been around real estate. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I just knew that it was a job and I was going to get paid, and I just had to do something.
Yep.
And so I went out to Denver, and I truly did not like it. I hated commercial real estate. It's a grind. I mean, anyone will tell you, I mean, your first 3 years in commercial real estate, don't expect to make much. I mean, it's a grind. The cold calls, people telling you to fuck off, and you call them. I mean, the whole thing, I witnessed it all. And I'm not the type of person that
welcome to real estate. Right?
Yeah, right. It was a shock for me, because like for me, like I hated the word no so much that like when people started saying no to me, I started getting discouraged. But I kept moving forward. I kept trying, and then about a year into it, my dad calls me. He's like, "Hey, we need a property manager." Yep. So how I look at it is like property management is probably the lowest form of job you can get, in a sense, other than a janitor, in multifamily residential real estate. And there is a lot of honor behind it, because I do not, you get shit on all the time. And so, yeah, I came back, I started working for them. I did property management for 3 years. I loved it. Honestly, I like talking to tenants. I'm a very relationship type person. I think hockey kind of built me into that. And I started becoming friends with my tenants, which probably is a no-no in most of real estate, but, I actually have some good friends from it. But, so I, 3 years into it, I started seeing what else I could do at the company. And so we have a couple different things at our company. We're not big, right? So my dad originally had started this company called Peak Properties. If you look them up, they are national. They're huge. So my dad was the founding partner with Mike Zucker on that. Peak Properties now manages around 25,000 units in 3 different states, I believe. They have a whole leasing team called Cross Street that they formed into. So they're a real company. But my dad left in about 2008, 2007 during the recession. Started his own thing with his brother Michael, who had also been in real estate for a long time and also worked at Peak Properties. And so, yeah, so when I walked into Motew, I really just was like, what do I need to do to learn what you guys have learned? Because I don't want to sound arrogant. Motew is my last name, Motew Properties. I have a bit more stake in this than most people, right? So, I wanted to learn, because I know eventually it's probably going to come down to me. I have a cousin that's getting into it, but most of my family is probably not going to be into real estate. I've got a brother in the Army, a brother that plays hockey, another brother that I love him to death. I don't know if I could ever work with him, but we'll see. He's actually working at JLL starting on Monday, so he just graduated college.
Nice.
So I grew up around it and whatnot. But yeah, so they were like, be a property manager, go through the thick of it. You'll really learn the buildings. You'll learn how they operate. You're not just going to go in and start leasing apartments or selling buildings. Like, let's learn about, you need 2-inch water service for, to put washer dryer in the building. Not an 1.5 inches may work, but you may get caught and the city might not like you. Right. So, I started learning these small things. And finally, our director of leasing, Roxanne, who is a fucking rocket. I loved her. I was actually kind of sad that she left, but at the same time, I was happy because it brought me into a great job. And so, listen, here's the thing with leasing apartments, you have to be somewhat fucking good looking, and because it's pretty fucking easy. My dad says a monkey could open a fucking door and show an apartment. So, my job isn't like the hardest thing in the world, but I will get into, kind of more of what I do. But so Roxanne, very good looking, honestly, is perfect for the job, whatever.
It's funny. I got Adam going on 2 showings to open a door at 5:30 and 6, like 2 minutes from his house, and he's going to be the one.
Yeah. Hey, Adam's not a rocket, though. Adam's not a rocket, Max.
No, if I was walking in and he was showing me the apartment, I'd definitely say, no, I'm good, and then walk out. But yeah, so leasing isn't. Listen, there's a lot of money in leasing. What I do isn't the hardest thing in the world, but I take it seriously. Now, what we focus on is zero vacancy. So if you look at our portfolio right now, we have zero vacancy. We don't take vacancy, because if we do, we're never going to make that month rent up ever. And so I've got a guy underneath me. His name's Keegan. He helps me. Also a hockey player, played at CYA TI with me. So I I manage our whole leasing portfolio. I do our renewals, renewals are the most important part of property or our properties. You need these tenants to stay. Turnover rate will kill you if you have a high turnover rate. And this year we were at a 72% retention rate, which is amazing. A lot of that has to do with how the market is looking, for buying and whatnot.
Well, are these commercial units or are they residential?
They're all residential. So we have a couple mixed use properties, not a whole ton, but we do have a couple mixed use. We don't manage full commercial spaces. We used to, we don't even manage HOAs anymore. We used to manage HOAs. We can't stand HOAs. Not that we would say no to it. It's just, we would prefer not to. We'll say yes to about anything for the most part. So right now we don't have any HOAs. We don't really, if you guys are familiar with HOAs, they are a pain in the ass. And so we kind of try to stay away from it as much as we can. But most of the stuff in our portfolio, we've got some 2 flats all the way up to some like 46, 47 unit buildings. We used to have an 80 unit building, but our stuff is our bread and butter are walk-ups, non-amenity buildings in the best areas in the city, north and west side, areas you're going to want to live in when you move to Chicago. When you think of Chicago, you think of River North, you think of Gold Coast, you think of Magnificent Mile and Michigan Avenue. That is, people do live there, and people who aren't from Chicago will probably end up living in Gold Coast or River North once they move to Chicago, just because that's what they believe Chicago is. But then when you come here, you see all these beautiful neighborhoods like Wicker Park, Bucktown, Lincoln Park, Lakeview, Wrigleyville. List goes on, and that's where our properties are at. They're not in the heart of the city. They're just outside of, they're our neighborhoods. So for me, a big part of my job, like I was saying, is renewals. You need to keep tenants. If those tenants don't renew, that's when I go, I start renting out these properties and kind of split them up by area. I live in River West, a mile away from United Center. So I kind of take everything from like basically in the west side for the most part. North side, my colleague lives up in like Lakeview area. So he takes all the north side. The traffic in the city, it's a fucking nightmare. So I try not to go up to Wrigleyville if I don't have to, especially during the Cubs games and whatnot. So I've been doing it for about 3.5 years. I like it. It pays the bills. It's, I learn the business another way. And I think, now I'm starting to get into a little bit of construction. We're doing a couple of rehabs right now. We've bought these buildings up in Logan Square, which is another fantastic area in the city. A 12 unit and a 27 unit property, but the 27 unit property was they were all large, like 2 bed, 2 baths. We're kind of splicing and dicing. We're putting like 43 units, I believe, in that building. And then the other building, we're adding 4 units. So we're in the process of those rehabs right now, and I'm getting involved in that. It's interesting. There's a lot of things I didn't know, right? So it's kind of just, throwing up that white flag, telling whoever I'm working with that I don't know, just to help me learn. Because I don't want to, I think I'm not the type of guy that's going to walk in and pretend I know something, because what good is that going to do for myself or for the person that I'm working with? So, I think I never stop learning in this business. And that's a big thing too, is you always want to continue to grow. Even these top end brokers who are at Properties, Compass, JLL. All these top brokers, they don't stop learning. They're in school, they're taking lessons. They're learning constantly. And so why should I stop? And so, so I guess, what I'm saying is I'm moving into more of a construction role. I'm also going to be staying on, with leasing. But I do love the construction. It's a next step, being part of a development that we're doing next door to actually where I'm living currently too. So, it's fun. And then also on side of that, I'm trying, I'm raising money for deals with my friends, because now we're all of age, we all have some money in our bank accounts, and they're all trying to get into real estate. And it's like, I have to remember that they don't know what I know, and I have to talk dumb to them, even though they're not dumb guys. These are smart guys, but they don't know real estate. It's a whole different world. Just like if I my buddy works for Ferrara Candies, I would have no fucking clue how to, what a manufacturer does with candy. I just don't know. So I talk dumb to them. We're trying to get into deals and as a group, and
nice.
Yeah. So
all right, dude, there's a lot to unpack there. So.
Yeah, I know.
All right, and that's our show. See you later.
Let's get out of here. No, I'll let me just break a couple things down I want to highlight. And I know, Tom, you got a bunch of questions too, but one of the takeaways that I love that you said is you got to learn from ground up, because I had the same mindset when I retired from hockey. I left hockey. My whole mindset was I'm going to work with somebody, because I can't stand working by myself, right? I like working with a team. You said that a bunch of times, working with a team, working with each other, growing, etc. But learning from ground up, I think is huge, right? And you made a comment that I never heard, being a property manager like being a janitor, but very good. So your mindset was, it doesn't matter what task I'm going to do, I got to learn everything. And right now, if you look at the progression, you started with that, jumped into leasing. Your lease renewals are 72% retention, which is ridiculous for anyone that listens to this in the business. That is freaking absurdly great. And then now you're jumping into construction, and now you're also jumping into raising money. So those are all different skill sets, right? All the way across the board. So walk us through a little bit of what your mindset was at the beginning, because I know in the end you said, all right, my family owns this company. So in your mind, are you thinking one day I'm going to own this, so now I have to learn everything? Walk us through that.
Yeah. So when I came to Motew, I knew in the back of my head that as long as I stuck with it and learned what I had to learn, they would be comfortable allowing me to run Motew one day. Yep. Whether that's, me buying the business out from underneath them, them handing it to me, which is probably, honestly, I hope they don't hand it to me. I hope I have to do something to earn it. I'm not a freeloader. My uncle might joke about that. I am a freeloader, and at heart, I'm not. I definitely work my ass off. And so, when I came, property management is by far the most important part of operating any building. You need good property managers. Mm-hmm. And so I learned from someone who was a good property manager. I learned how to communicate. I learned that simple emails, not lengthy emails, are the most important. You don't want to type a tenant a lengthy email. The less information you can give them, in a sense, is better, but be precise. And I learned the hard way on that too, right? I would type out, a frozen pipe would happen, and I would promise them, oh, we'll give you a credit when it's all said and done. Mm-hmm. But I shouldn't have done that, because now I'm promising something that I can't deliver on, because we were like, we're not giving you a credit for something that, was the tenant's fault in the first place, whatnot. Right. So being able to learn from the ground up was huge. And that was my thought process behind it, was that if I'm going to take over this company one day, I need to know everything. I need to know how these buildings operate. And so what I'm not great at are numbers. I'm just not a mathematician. I can look at a pro forma and tell you if it's a good deal or not. That I can do, but in my head, I'm not good with numbers. I never have been. That's fine. That's why God created calculators. But so that was my thought process going into my dad's company, my uncle's company was, I had to learn everything.
Who handles? So it's pretty cool. So you guys, how many units you guys managing now?
Just about 1,000.
So you have 1,000 units. How many of those do you guys own?
We probably own have ownership in about 87 to 90% of those.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And you probably save a lot of money by taking management in-house, right? By managing your own properties and outsourcing. Who handles purchasing new properties? Because obviously you have an acquisition team.
Yeah, so we have an acquisition team. So we had this guy, Kevin Schnell. He came from Marcus and Millchap at a young age. We had him for, oh my God, he was with us for, I want to say 10 years, almost maybe 12 years. He recently just left to go to a company, 33 Realty. No hard feelings at all. He has 4 kids. He got to provide for his family. We weren't buying for a while, and so he needed to do what he had to do. So we still talked to him and whatnot. So he was our head of acquisitions since Motew really had been around. Yep. Recently, we switched over. This guy, Brandon Carlson, played at Alabama Huntsville. He might be a good guy to bring on this podcast. He is a character. But yeah, he played. He's
unlike you, Max.
No, he's like a fucking bear. This dude is a massive human being. Goalies are a little fucked in the head, but he probably could be deceived as a goalie. He looks like one.
What was his name, man?
Brandon Carlson. So
you can connect us after the show. That'd be great.
Well, yeah, he's awesome. And so he played at Alabama Huntsville. He was with us. He was also a property manager at the beginning with us. He came from CoStar, and so he was a coach at the Chicago Mission. He was my brother's coach, so there's a connection there. Came working for us, oh my God, 4 years ago now, I want to say, but he just jumped into the acquisition side about a year ago, a little over a year ago. He's very good. He has his database set. He makes his calls. He goes and he understands what he's looking at when he goes to buildings. My dad and uncle, they'll usually go with him to buildings on the first time, but if they don't, they'll go the second time because Brandon will be like, hey, we got to go check out this property. I just went to go look at it. It's right up our alley, right? So he knows what he's looking at. He understands pro formas. Very smart dude. His wife works for JP Morgan, so he's got the whole financial background on that end. So we're lucky to have him for sure. So he's our acquisition guy. Yeah.
All right. Very cool. I know, Tom, you have a bunch of questions. I know we're coming on a 30-minute mark. Tom, what do you got?
Yeah, I want to talk about kind of the transition from when you were done playing to, essentially first getting involved with the company. Was this something you were doing in the summertime, while you were still playing, and then eventually once the game was over, kind of just transitioned into full time? Or what was that?
So I was an intern with our company, I guess you could say, over during my summers. I would goalie coach as well, but for the most part, I was we had this this group of properties up in we managed like 200 units up in Evanston, or 100 units. Evanston's like where Northwestern is at, the college. And so I was in this little room with this guy, Nick DeSalvo. His brother actually played in the NHL, went to Bowling Green. So again, another hockey guy, that was a part of our company. We were stuck in this room, probably no bigger than the size of this room, in the basement of some shit building that we were managing this was a third-party management contract. And so I came and I did that. And let me tell you, there is a big difference on areas in where you're managing properties. Evanston and Chicago, completely different areas, the type of renters that you get. Our renters, in Evanston, we're paying $1,100-$1,200 for decently good, decent units, but like older, super needy, would break things and not even know they broke them, or they would overflow their toilet and be like, I don't know how to plunge a toilet, which is honestly most renters anyways. No one knows how to plunge a fucking toilet, but yeah, so I did intern with us for 2 to 3 years prior to me coming into Motew.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. So it's kind of a two-part question to what you just said. So what advice would you give guys who are kind of, they're not going to play they don't want to play in the SBA. You're kind of tinkering with the idea of maybe trying out in the coast or whatnot. What advice would you give them if they're kind of that bubble mindset towards like their final year of their career, where they almost have one foot out the door, but they're not really sure what they want to do? Would you advise them to essentially, do what you did in terms of the intern thing? Because we have a guy in our office right now that's essentially doing exactly that, and it'd probably be a good fit once he's done playing. But I don't really know what his plan is when he's done. What advice would you give guys who are kind of already thinking about the next step?
Here's the thing. In hockey, everyone's got some sort of ego, right? And it's good to have an ego in hockey. You want a small ego, not a too big of an ego, but you want an ego. And so what I'd say to those people is, if there is some sort of ego involved with quitting hockey, being known as like Max the hockey player or Tom the hockey player, and you're like, I just want to continue playing, but it's not going to last much longer. Take a job in real estate that you take a job and you can play men's league hockey. It's all the same shit at the end of the day. And I suggest, starting from the bottom up, you look at it's so easy to like look at these guys and, on Instagram or TikTok and say, oh, this guy bought a 3-unit property and he refinanced cash out refinance and bought another 3-unit property. So I want to do that. No, it doesn't just happen like that. These guys make it seem so easy. Humble yourself. I like the route that I take. Is it the right one? I don't know. Everyone's different. I think a lot of these big brokerages like Marcus and SVN and JLL, they have great training programs if you want to go in to be a broker. I think the NAR settlement is going to weed out a lot of brokers. So, if you want to get into real estate, learn from someone that's smarter than you. Just like in hockey, you always want to be surrounded around the people that are better than you, because that's what makes you better. And so just like in real estate, to become better, you have to hang around the best. And so I'm fortunate that my father-in-law was he is a developer, was a developer for 40 years. One of the smartest guys I know in real estate. My dad and my uncle, extremely smart. Hang around those type of people. Be a fucking, be a fly on the wall. Just listen to everything. Take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. And, you know, that's what I would say to those people is if they are tinkering with, you know, the SP, the EC, and they know they probably only got a year left, just get involved, do something, hang around people that are smarter than you and start understanding. Maybe they don't want to go into real estate, who knows, right? But start hanging around those types of people, whatever it is, that are smarter than you, and just learn from them and see what you want to do.
Awesome. Great answer. Bob, what do you got? We're coming up on 35 minutes here.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, we'll just break it down. Max, obviously, thank you for jumping on. You said some things that are great nuggets, and it was a great way to end it on that side of it. One of the things you did say, which I agree 1,000%, is communication is key.
Oh, yeah.
And less is more. So we've all made that mistake. Tom made that mistake. I made that mistake. By talking too much, sometimes it's the worst. So it's the communication. Email communication is absolutely huge because stuff could get lost in translation, and there's no emotion in email or text. So I know that's such a small little tidbit that you said, but it was extremely important. You want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, you know, I will say too is that people are so scared to pick up the phone these days. You know, everything's done through text and email. You know, if you're in a position that I am or work for a company like I do, property management, let's just say, pick up the phone and call your tenants as well. It's so much, people will appreciate that much more than an email. Plus, things don't get lost in translation. And so I 100% agree. You know, communication is key. It's written on our board in our office. Less is more is 100%, you know, true as well. Another thing I'll add to it is pick up the phone and call. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I also learned the hard way. Was I was so scared to call these tenants. I thought they were going to yell at me. Listen, at the end of the day, it's just a job, and you can't take things personally. That's what I wasn't good at when I was cold calling early on, is I was taking these calls personally. Do not take them personally. It is your job, and it's okay if you get told to fuck off or that we don't like you. Don't contact us again. That is totally fine. We're salesmen. I'm a salesman at that. You know, when I was making those calls, and salesmen are, you know, can be told and most likely are going to be told, don't call me again, fuck off. But you'll get, you know, one or two great calls that keep you coming back. So
on that note, Tom, that's a perfect, again, a way to end. Max, what is the best way to get a hold of you? People want, you know, questions. They want to work with you guys and your company.
Yeah. So feel free to reach out to me directly, which is just my first name, Max, at motewproperties.com. We've got a website. You can go on and inquire straight from there. I'm on, you know, fortunately, I mean, I get made fun of. I've been on LinkedIn a lot more lately. My uncle thinks I'm just posting crap. So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn right now, but he calls me a fucking idiot, but that's totally fine. But I know he's joking with all love, but yeah, I mean, the best way to get a hold of me is probably email, call our office. I'm around all the time, whether it's me or my uncle or my dad. So
sweet. And any units, anyone looking to sell some stuff, call Max in the Chirac area. You got you got the Democratic convention coming up over there.
So excited.
He says it's going to be a shit show. He's getting out of town. But anyway, Max, thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, good luck with everything. And Tom, thank you very much as well. And have a kick-ass day, bro.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, man.